that's a big selling point for the property.
Yes.
Big
Yeah.
selling point.
It is remnant
Needs
prairie,
to be
and
protected and-
there are at least 30 different species of native grasses and
So are there
wildflowers
like
out there.
grants and stuff you can get?
I was gonna ask that.
Yes, there are.
to-
There are programs that you can, are you guys an official 501c3? I can't remember.
No, we're not yet.
Not yet, okay. So if you can get a partner that is, might be eligible to get some grants for that.
Well, county commissioners must be able to, they need to be aware of this importance
Mm-hmm.
and recognize it as such and put effort into it.
Yeah, partnering with SWCDs, sometimes they get Clean Water Indiana funds, and because there's a creek going through the property, eligible. Clean Water Indiana funds are a grant that typically SWCDs apply for, but nonprofits and partners, even if they're not nonprofits, can go in with an SWCD and get some money. And sometimes it's not a little money, it's a lot of money. Some of the projects they funded last year were over $300,000. And there were multiple projects like that. So SWCD, your Soil Water Conservation District, is a great partner. Purdue Extension sometimes has some grants. And then especially for brush management and restoration, you can look at USDA, DNR, or NRCS for potential fundings. NRCS runs a program called EQIP, Environmental Quality Improvement Program. Brush management and control of invasive species is the linchpin of that entire program.
Yeah.
So there's some big money there. However, that one's not just, hey, here's money, go do the thing. It's, sure, here's your contract, do the work for a year, and then we'll come and evaluate to see how much work you did and pay you accordingly. So you gotta
Do the work first.
do the work first, pay for the herbicide or the contractor. Now, they don't care how you do the work. They don't care who does the work. They care that the work gets done. And they'll pay you for the first 3 years of that. It's a 10-year contract. You're anticipated to finish out the last 7 years on your own, and they do the first 3 years because that's where you're supposed to be the most aggressive in getting rid of all the fruit-bearing mature plants and tackling the big canary infestations and stuff like that. So that one's a little trickier to navigate, but can still be very effective. The other tools that you guys have at your disposal as a group, especially if you start tying in with the community, is doing things like weed wrangles, which can go towards your EQIP work.
What was that?
A weed wrangle. So
Like a cow wrangle, only weed?
similar, yeah. So the concept of a weed wrangle is an organization like yourself invites the public, and you do a lot of networking and outreach. Invite City Hall, invite Parks Department, invite Joe Schmo and their 5 kids. Come out, partner with Purdue Extension, SWCD, people who might have loppers and stuff like that. QUIP, which is Kosciuszko County's SISMA, which is a organization that just deals in invasive species for every county. We have a whole bunch of tools. We'd be more than willing to let a group like you borrow for a weed wrangle. But you register the weed wrangle through SICM because we're the official hub for Indiana. We do more weed wrangles as a state than the next 4 states combined, and that includes Texas and California. We did over 250 events last year, covering over 40,000 acres of control. And these are really cool because you leverage it and you get, say you get 20 people to show up. You do 2 hours. Well, that's 40 man hours of invasive species management that you just got in a single day free. Plants don't work that fast. So you can offset decades, especially of woody invasives. You can offset decades. And the other cool thing is it gets eyes on a property that has great value to the community for people who might not actually understand that value. And then they get to come in, they get to see, here's what it looks like beforehand, and it's massive thickets of green that shouldn't be there. And then they spend 2 hours taking it out, get a little sweat equity in, and then you step back and you look like, oh my goodness, this looks totally different. It has been transformed. And you do that every year on the same site. 3 years, 4 years. If you guys only have one property you're worrying about, every year, multiple times every year, do a spring one, do a fall one, and the amount of gain you get in controlling your invasive species becomes exponential.
As a volunteer group, how do we get, I don't know, certified, experienced, or trained or something?
Hi,
Okay.
This is our resource.
I am your
Sure.
guy. I've got the tools, I've got the chemical, I've got the chemical applicator license, although you don't need it if you're doing environmental restoration as a volunteer in private property.
Resource.
And yeah, and And I've
think we
got
have a
networking.
DNR guy that has that too, like that
Mhm.
is literally in
Yeah.
town.
And the more people you can bring in that have that type of expertise, the better. But the cool thing is you grow the expertise the more you do it. Quip, for instance, average volunteer age over 60, average member age over 55. And yet they are now becoming subject experts in the field of invasive species and control, and they're doing presentations at like ILMS and two lake associations throughout all of Kosciuszko County, and they've only been doing it 4 or 5 years as a volunteer because they're just involved.
Well, but you talk about there's whatever is invasive coming in on that prairie. You know, that's one thing I think I'd like to see concentrate on is to
Yeah.
stop that, so.
And that's the perfect plan. The prairie is the coolest part, it's the most sensitive part, and it's the most important part. And right now, all the invasives are concentrated on the edges with small little islands and pockets in the interior. So you start where they're the smallest infestation because you eliminate those and they can't expand. Get rid of those little pockets first and then work your way out to the edges and then systematically just start sweeping the edges. You do this consistently. Plants grow all the time, right? So, but they grow slow, relatively.
Were you doing chemical applications or just going out there pulling the weeds up and burning them, or?
It depends on what you all want to do. It depends on what you have access to. But and this is again where I am a resource. I can give you the right chemical combinations, the right timing for them, application rates, all of that stuff, completely free, just a standing resource. And you stack control methods. If you can only mow or weed rack, cool, go do that. And then 3 to 8 weeks later, depending on how warm it is, go out and spray a chemical or do it again. Just if you're constantly weed whacking and mowing the little patches of Reed Canary that are all there, it's never gonna go to seed, and you're gonna distress all those roots of any nutrients they have in about 3 years. So you can control chemical free, it just takes a longer time period. Whereas if you go in, cut it, wait 5 weeks, come in, spray it, now you're getting control in 1 year as opposed to 3. But there's always more than one way to handle the invasives, and that's where I come in to help you guys navigate that.
Is there any, with the property being where it is there any benefit that we can tap into of having the golf course across the road?
100%. One, they have chemical applicators. Golf courses are one of the #1 herbicide applicators in the country
Okay.
by industry. They also are probably well equipped with the equipment to do large scale spraying. And when we were out there, I actually looked along the golf course's property, and oh my, do they have invasives along their outer edge. And
Oh, they do?
oh yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot more connection with the Kokomo folks and the county up there for the
I would
active
think so,
activity.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that'd
don't
be
know if you're
another.
aware of that, but that's the county line.
Yeah. Yeah, so half of all of this is invasives. They have tree of heaven in their property
So they
line.
don't deal with it?
They probably don't know. They deal with turf grass and invasives out there, yeah. And honestly, if you look at the rough of most golf courses, it's almost all invasive grasses or.
If they don't
thistle.
care.
Cause you're not supposed to be in it. We're gonna incentivize it by making it all prickly and Canada thistles, so you'll stay out of the rough, get a better
Yeah,
golf
from
game.
the Howard County side, that was pretty tall earlier, and somebody did come through there not too long ago with a bush hog and.
And they
chopped it
typically
out.
do, and the problem with that is, they don't come back with an herbicide and it just grows back.
It's not there.
Well, there on our side of the road, that was done with a bush hog here not too long ago too.
Bush hogs can be amazing, however, it's a part 1 of a 2-step process. So you bush hog, and that batters the stems and everything, it takes the berry producing biomass off the top, and that's all great. But you gotta come back in 5 weeks and spray all the new leaves that have come out on that new growth, because bush hogging doesn't kill anything. It hurts it, and it damages it, but when plants get damaged, it registers as predation. It registers as something trying to eat it, like a deer or something browsing it, and it spurs regrowth. That's why when we mow our lawns, it causes denser matting of the roots. It's why if you trim out your rose bush, it causes bigger blooms. They all rate it as being eaten. Damage stress is damage stress to a plant. It doesn't have a brain, and so it all is just like, oh, we need to grow more now because we got hurt, and they do really aggressively. So bush hogging can be great for minimizing berry production and seed production, but it needs to be followed up 5 to 8 weeks later when new stuff is growing up with leaves with an herbicide application. It's a 1-2 combo.
You know, it's been probably a good month and a half ago, I cut all that right there at the sign and down that road, so, but now it's starting to come back up. It should have been treated with herbicide in there someplace.
I mean, right now is a great time to do it, aside from, like rain to here. At least it did in my area.
So how do we get those chemicals? Do we have
Um,
cost and access? How do we?
Yeah, so that's where partnerships can definitely come in. It's where, if you guys are interested, I have a
Step-by-step on how to become an actual 501c3 laid out very plainly. But if there's no will for that, that's fine. Partnerships are the way to go. And a lot
Well,
of,
it is a property owned by the county commissioners, so the county commissioners.
they should be willing to throw some resources
Yes,
at it.
exactly. That is, there's gotta be some,
And if there's resistance there, you look for other partners. Purdue Extension, they can't recommend name brands on any type of anything, but they can tell you what herbicides work for what. I mean, just go to their website, they've got a huge list of herbicides.
I'm a master gardener.
And Master Gardeners. So there's your Purdue Extension connection. But then also your SWCD, they can be potential sources. And then honestly, even if you're not a 501c3, you can go to some of your local hardware stores, garden supply centers and things like that and be like, hey, we are a group that, I can't remember what your guys' Tippin Trails.
Yeah.
Just Tippin Trails.
Mhm.
Hey, we're with Tippin Trails and we're doing a restoration project on our prairie. Would you be willing to give us 5 gallons of glyphosate?
support, yeah.
It's like $30 to them, and you've got glyphosate for 3 years now.
A couple weeks ago, I did talk to Bruce out there at Ace, and he mentioned that if we need, or anybody knows what they're doing, I think that knows what we're doing is one of the key pieces, that he'd be more helpful in trying to get the chemicals through Ace.
Yep. And that's something that I'd be more than willing to do. We could do an on-site training day, we could do an internal weed wrangle only, where you don't invite the public, you get yourselves spun up on what a weed wrangle looks like, how to manage one, how to get people out to it, what tools to use. And then we do that, and then you guys I can still help always, but you start running stuff on your own because you got the know-how.
Well, that's, know-how's the missing
That's the
missing
big
piece.
key.
I'm the know-how.
I found the know-how. What time frame are we looking for if we're gonna clean up that prairie and we wanna do one this fall?
If you want to do one this fall, I would recommend September, mid to late September. Most of our natives start going dormant around that time, which means your off-target damage minimized and canary grass is back into its growth cycle by that time, so you're not spinning your wheels on nothing. Autumn olive is still treatable with cut stump, where you cut the stump about 2 inches off the ground and paint it with glyphosate. So autumn olive, reed canary, multiflora rose can all still be treated, and honeysuckle can also be treated in late September, or even early October. We've even done weed wrangles after Thanksgiving and still had great effect because the invasives just keep photosynthesizing well into the winter. So realistic time frame, late September through mid-November. Anytime in there, you're still going to have a lot of availability to treat. The closer to mid-November you get, the less likely off-target damage there is, but also you start running into the potential for the air temperature to be too low for the chemical to work. It can be 70 in December, or it can be 20 in December. And once it drops below about 45, your chemical is not going to translocate through the plant.
And I don't remember, is glyphosate one of those ones that somebody has to be certified to use?
No, so all of SICM's recommendations and all the chemicals I use and recommend other people to use are non-restricted chemicals, which means you can buy them everywhere. You don't need a special license to buy them. I have an applicator's license because I do it as part of my job, but volunteers on private property or publicly owned property, and you're doing it as a volunteer, you don't have to have a license. Fun thing.
For better or for worse?
Yeah, it's just, just don't buy Tordon. And if you're using Tordon on your private property, please stop. Glyphosate and triclopyr are fine, and they're cheaper. And they don't stay in the soil. They volatilize out of the soil very quickly. Although with reed canary in some of the spots, I'm gonna recommend using imazapyr, which does stick around in the soil, But if you're doing a late fall application, it only stays in the soil until next spring. And it's gone by the time the ephemerals and natives are coming up. It's a perfect timing. But like that type of information, you don't have to have that information. I have it and I share it with you. I'm the answer guy.
That's great.
How much space is there total in this property?
72.
72.
73, 72.
What was this before?
72
Was it ever farm ground or?
It was, yeah, originally,
Three areas.
where the barn is over here, back here a little bit farther was where he actually had his house, so he lived there when Bill knows, right? So it was residence and farm and part of it, he farmed this portion of it, did he not? Bill, way back when?
I don't know exactly, well, I can't see.
It had been farmed at one time.
But there's
Where are we
three
at?
distinct areas,
Here's
right?
here's the pole barn,
Okay,
his house set somewhere in that vicinity.
yeah, he farmed, yeah, that was a field.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Yeah.
both of those.
Yeah, where the prairie is, that makes sense.
And that prairie, he just mowed around it.
Yeah, okay.
That's all, he didn't do anything
That-
except leave it alone.
That's honestly awesome because it indicates it's probably remnant prairie. And
Yeah.
that's so rare anymore.
He was a naturalist.
That's fantastic. It also explains why there's so much autumn olive and multiflora rose. Those are very prevalent where there used to be either row crop or pasture. But it also, I mean, knowing that that's actually remnant prairie, that's awesome. It means that there's probably even stuff inside the seed bank that hasn't come up yet because there probably hasn't been a fire there in 50 years. And a lot of our native prairie plants, they actually need fire in order to reproduce.
Yeah, can you talk
Should there be a controlled burn?
After you get the invasives under control.
Okay.
So fire can be used for controlling the biomass of invasives, but when you have reed canary grass in particular, it loves fire. It will come back 3, 4, 5 times as thick, 5 times as fast, and it will overtake very quickly. It responds very aggressively to fire, way more than our natives do, and even though our natives need the fire, if you do it at the wrong time, that reed canary grass is just gonna. Now, early spring control burn to get rid of the thatched out dead parts of the reed canary, very good, because yes, the reed canary will grow back, but if you do it early enough, and I am not certified to do fires, I used to be, but I'm not now, I'm not a fire manager. You do it early enough in the spring, you can burn away all that biomass, it'll grow up faster than anything else will, and you'll still be able to do an herbicide treatment before the natives are up. That is a super
Very
fine
small
window.
window.
That is a small window, but it does exist, and it's very encouraging that it exists. You can also burn it in late fall, when everything else is dormant. Burn it away, it grows back up in the spring, you spray it before all the natives are there, control.
Brenda, I don't know if you've talked finances on what we're talking about, dealing with the invasive species. I mean, it's just gonna be, we've got money now, don't we, from the commissioners that they put in the budget that we never use.
Right.
So, I mean, what are we talking about each year if we tackle this problem? Either hiring somebody or
Yeah.
whatever. All I've heard so far is a 50 gallon or a $50 gallon,
Yeah. So like a 5-gallon jug of glyphosate will get you pretty far, but it's not gonna cover everything. But you wanna be precision, we're not doing broadcast spraying, so every bit of herbicide purchased, it goes a lot further than people think. But outside of for the prairie, you need to have cutting tools that can get back there without damaging anything, and while a mower could be pretty useful, you'd need a mower that can traverse all of that, get out there and be selective in where it mows. You can't have like a big 60 decker. You need to have something a little more selective. Or you need to get some manual removal tools like a scythe or a brush cutter with grass blades. That's actually highly recommended because it's way less physically intense than doing a scythe and it's easier to get back there than a mower. So I mean, brush cutter can run, if you do a battery operated one, which I highly recommend because it works cold or hot. Milwaukee makes a good one, Steel makes a good one.
See, I think getting access around the site is kind of the first step that you need to start looking at, and then once you get access, then you can start saying, okay, what are we gonna do with this area, and what are we gonna do with this area, and go at it piece by piece. But first, you gotta get some access. Right now, access is extremely
It's
difficult.
It wasn't easy to walk all of it.
Exactly, even walking is hard, so you gotta get
So, yeah,
access.
placing a trail, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with that is you can do that in the winter. I know, not everybody likes to work when it's 20 degrees outside, but honeysuckle, autumn olive, all those things that are
Dormant.
blocks to
Yeah.
getting to that prairie, as long as the soil's not frozen rock hard, those can be pushed out with a rented Bobcat and a scoop shovel on the front. Like you can just
Yeah,
push them out of the ground and they're dead now.
yeah. Yeah, so getting access is the,
You rent a Bobcat for a weekend, you get someone with a trailer and you can clear your path very easily. So sometimes it's thinking outside the box, and I'm an outside the box, I don't even see the box most of the time when I'm thinking, so if you want help navigating that, suggestions on partnerships and stuff like that, tools to purchase, I've used everything. I literally own a scythe and 2 different types of sickles, and electric chainsaws, and regular saws, and gas chainsaws, and loppers, and Swedish brush axes, which nobody's even ever heard of. Like, I have, yeah, I love those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little D handle, yeah, big old razor blade, I love them
they're great.
for certain things. But I mean, I've used and own everything, so suggestions on tools, suggestions on chemicals, where to source them, potential partnerships. I've also partnered with some weird people. I've got good partnerships with a couple organizations like Seymour Midwest, who makes farm tools and restoration equipment in Warsaw, Indiana, and in Seymour, Indiana. I have a standing partnership with them, get really good discounts, so.
Is that barn something that could be secure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tools and stuff in it? Okay.
Oh, no,
It's,
no.
Well, it's a standing structure that could be.
She said, is it secure to put
Oh,
tools?
no, no,
Oh,
not
not
now,
now.
no, not now.
Could be,
But
Could be.
is currently not.
but that's why at the current time, we're working this side of the creek. There's a couple other old wooden buildings on this side of the creek where it used to be around the farm that need to come down before we have people wandering around there too much, cause
Yeah, that's in like the 2 or 3 year. plan.
Dick and I went over there and looked and we decided we didn't wanna go into one of those buildings.
Yeah, I don't blame you. They were pretty sketchy.
Yeah, they're real sketchy.
So I know we're focused on the prairie, but I feel like, is there something we need to do to make sure that the tree of heaven isn't like so overwhelming by the time we get to it?
Yes. So the cool thing with that is it's a really simple treatment, and most of them were small saplings. So you just do what's called basil bark. You'll get something like triclopyr, and you'll mix it with oil, an oil substrate. So there's basil oil. You can use diesel fuel or kerosene, and I don't know. Sometimes diesel's cheaper than basil oil. Sometimes it's not. It's kind of a crapshoot. You can also use methylated seed oil, and that one varies in cost and accessibility too. But you mix your herbicide, you mix your oil, and then you start at the ground and go up 18 inches all the way around the bark, and you just spray that oil herbicide on there. The oil punches through the bark and goes right down into the roots, and it kills the tree without it being attacked. You don't damage the tree with a blade or anything. And so Tree of Heaven doesn't freak out and start sending up root sprouts. You just kill it that way. Great for saplings, not so great for big, tall, 80-foot monsters, because now you have a standing dead tree that's 80 foot tall and weighs
Widowmaker.
multiple tons. So usually what I recommend is, go ahead and fell the big one and just come back and foliar spray all the root sprouts that are gonna come back up in like 8 weeks. So,
I hate that thing.
Yeah.
Prolific.
yeah. So, I mean, but it's all about what you're looking
I
at.
hate it, but it's one of my new least favorite.
Yeah, it smells like bad peanut butter.
Ew.
It makes the air smell like bad peanut butter too. And that's actually a toxin. It is mildly toxic. It can make you nauseous and cause migraines. But it's how you tell the difference between sumac, walnut, and Tree of Heaven. If you're not good at leaf identification, you just sniff it. Walnut smells like walnut. Sumac smells like nothing. Tree of Heaven smells like roast peanut butter. It's also a spotted lanternfly host.
Yeah.
If you've heard of spotted lanternfly, potentially extremely damaging for crops and everything. And Tree of Heaven is its native host tree. They blend in perfectly with it. So much so that the leaf scars on Tree of Heaven bark literally look like the white dotted markings on spotted lanternfly. It's wild. If you wanna see a true spotted lanternfly infestation, go to Huntington. It's horrifying. It's like a biblical plague over there all the time.
That could happen in the barn?
It can happen anywhere there's tree heaven, for sure.
Cause you said the barn was completely.
So far, I don't know that Tipton County has
Oh, okay.
solidified tree or spotted lanternfly sighting. DNR tracks that. You can find the map online. I don't know that Tipton County has it yet.
That's
I
good.
don't think
I
we
think
have
it's
it
in
yet.
like 30 counties in Indiana right now, but Huntington was ground zero.
I have them on my Rosa Sharon.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Get rid of your Rosa Sharon. It's also invasive. I'm not a purist. Keep your stuff. It's yeah, but spotted lanternfly is pretty nasty and it's extremely difficult to get rid of once it's there. Yeah, so gaining access, super important. The entryway could be a good weed wrangle, because typically you don't want volunteers going through a super sensitive environment, but you get people out to the weed wrangle, you open their eyes to the fact that this is a very cool property and that they can actually make a difference, and then maybe they start showing up to these and you guys develop a team that goes in more regularly and starts really focusing in on the grassland. Although the edges of the grassland where it's all autumn olive and stuff, that'd be great for a weed wrangle, just have people swoop around. And then you can use the Google My Maps that I've shared to map out what work you've done. You can put notes and photos and color code everything on the Google My Maps, which you now have, and if you save a copy to your email, you can edit it. And you can keep a running update of what did we treat? Here's our stop point, GPS fixed, so long as you have good self-perception, which clearly I did not. But you can have to the GPS dot, where we started, where we stopped, what we used, how much we applied, how many people showed up, when the next treatment is. You can leave all the notes, there's tons of symbols. It's basically ArcGIS, but you don't need a master's degree to understand how to use it, and it's free. Instead of, $190 a month.
So where does it stop? Does it go like down to that wooded area down on the bottom left?
Over
Or
there.
does it-
Yeah.
You can see the three distinct areas, 3 strips.
Right.
So it goes straight across like the woods down on the bottom, no, down
Yeah.
at the bottom?
Yeah.
Right there, is that part of it?
No,
Okay,
there's a house there.
It's a rectangle.
okay.
Can you tell more about the ethereal pond since we have just like a couple more minutes?
Yeah, so that ephemeral pond that's down there, when it rains in the spring, that gets filled up, and the plants that grow around it are super specific to that type of geographic land feature. They only grow when there's enough water to make that a standing pond, and then you get very distinct ephemeral plants that grow around that. Certain types of grasses, forbs, sedges, all sorts of really cool stuff. It's a really neat and sensitive feature because if the hydraulic is changed, if this farmer puts in a new tile or whatever, that thing could just dry out and never happen again. But it's ringed with reed canary grass, and that's one where it can be tackled with like 2 volunteers. Just this is your project for the year, cutting and spraying and cutting and spraying and cutting and spraying, because once the spring rains are gone, that's pretty much done. So now through the rest of the year, great time to manage that. But it's a super sensitive and unique area, and while it's hard to get to, really worth trying to put some effort in saving, because there aren't a lot of those left because of how much we change the hydrology in areas. But that spring ephemeral pond down there, managing the reed canary grass will keep it from growing in, because if the reed canary grass grows into it and it starts leaving layers and layers of thatch, it's going to fill it in over the course of 25, 35 years. And then even if you control the reed canary grass after that, it's destroyed. It'll wreck out the seed bank and everything. So that's a really interesting feature down there. I would highly recommend that be like, it doesn't have to be like the whole group's focus, but get some people to be over there controlling the reed canary grass as soon as you possibly can, because if you haven't been down there, go down there in like late March after a good rain and give it a week or two, and you're gonna see some really cool stuff. There's gonna be lots of amphibians and reptiles, lots of birds, tons of really neat little plants and stuff going on that you won't see anywhere else in the woods.
Unfortunately, step one back there is removing the trash, cause it was a dump site at one point.
Also, yes.
But thankfully, I think if we work with the farmer that has that field, if we're working before he's putting in seed,
Yeah,
then we can just go around, do an entrance there, and it'll be easy to get
yeah,
to.
in March through April, he probably won't be putting anything in, not with the type of rains we've been getting every spring. They're usually not putting in until the end of April, early March, or early May, so you got some time.
Yeah.
I see there's an arbor care and tree landscaping, maybe that guy can get on the, native plant route and start helping with that.
This has been very informative.
Any other questions?
And I'll remain a resource forever, like, you got my contact
You're
information.
never allowed to quit your job.
So my Sikkim job stops existing next June, but I do invasive species removal as a side job, that's becoming my full-time job, but continued help with SISMAs and stuff is something I'm gonna do as a volunteer basis, pretty much the rest of my life, so. Hit me up, I will give all the information that you ever need, and if I don't know it, I'll ask somebody who I know that does.
What's the definition of ephemeral?
Ephemeral,
And how do you spell that?
EPHEMERAL.
EPHEMERAL
I'm gonna get it wrong, let's just look it up.
sounds phonetically correct.
I know,
It's
right?
right there on your,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
First one on the top.
yeah,
EPHEMERAL.
it's up there.
So
on your
ephemeral ponds or spring ephemerals, they're short-lived, right? So ephemeral literally just means short-lived. So like Trillium, Jack in the Pulpit, False Solomon Seal, all of those early spring flowers that go dormant by the time summer hits, those are ephemeral because they're only out for 3 or 4 weeks. Whereas we have, perennials and annuals and things that are more persistent, and you'll see them start growing in March, and then they'll flower in July, August, and then they'll start changing colors and go dormant November. Those are a very long-lived plant, but our spring ephemerals and ephemeral ponds are short-lived, it's temporary. So that ephemeral pond hosts a whole bunch of things only for a very short amount of time. Usually it's a month or less in its entire existence.
And it's really
Every
cool, I
year.
think I was out there during that month, cause there's like frogs and all this,
You'll
yeah,
get,
it's just
you'll get
full
like
of life.
5 or 6 types of frogs in an ephemeral pond, and they're dependent on it because there's a whole influx of insects at that time, and it's the exact same time that the young frogs need to be growing and reproducing, and so they just gorge and feast.
So when it goes away, where do the frogs?
That's what I was just.
So the frogs leave that area, it's only for that initial stage of their life, and then they'll spread out and find,
Go
they'll
elsewhere.
find the creek, they'll find low areas, there'll be
Gotcha.
tree frogs and stuff, but they
Okay.
need that extra protein from the insects at a very young age to grow enough to be able to reproduce. And without the ephemeral pond, there's not that excess nutrient to be able to grow and reproduce large. And if there's not enough nutrients, animals just don't reproduce.
So it's their beginning cycle of their life.
It's not the beginning, it's their early adult.
Early
It's like their
adult.
juvenile stage where they
Okay.
need to be consuming just a ton of food in order to
Okay.
grow to reproduction
Like a
size.
teenager.
Yeah, like a teenager. You ever tried to feed a teenage boy or watch a teenage boy
Right.
eat? It's like that. And this is like a golden corral. Just eat until you stop being capable of eating. But they're super temporary, they're short-lived, and if you get out while it's in its swing of life, it's amazing. But it doesn't even happen every year. Sometimes ephemeral ponds will just not happen for 7, 8 years at a time, and then all of a sudden it's just the right conditions, right amount of rain, right hydrology, and it bursts into life for a month and a half, and then it's done for another 2, 3, 5 years.
I don't know if that is the one, but on that property, they had a gravel pit, and they would drive a wagon down into the pit and then load the gravel on the wagon and then drive it out. So I don't know if it's big enough for that, but he had one back there.
I don't
Interesting.
know. It could be, that'd be cool, cause then it filled in and life found a way.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
Somehow
life in a
it
gravel
does.
pit, yeah. But that pond, even when we went out, it was very clearly, something that has a lot of life around it.
Are there other ponds, or is it just the creek and that?
Yeah, just the creek in that
It's not fed by
area.
the creek. The pond is not fed by the creek.
No,
I just
no.
meant if there were any other water.
It's a natural depression.
Yep.
Is it a glacial moraine that's through there that would have been
If it was a gravel pit, it could have just been a gravel pit. It could have been a glacial moraine. Sometimes there's just dips in the land, and I've even seen ephemeral ponds in prairies
Yeah.
where it's mostly flat,
Yeah.
super sunny, and all of a sudden you get some weird
Yeah.
sedges and
Depression,
stuff
yeah.
that are growing in the middle of a prairie. You're like, you don't belong here. What are you doing? Like, why is there yellow loosestrife in my prairie? I don't understand.
Well, thank you so much for your time and
Yeah,
your
sorry about
knowledge
the
and your
kerfuffle with
resources.
the technology.
Yeah.
We're sorry, what your fault?
We gotta figure it out though.